Buakaw Banchamek broke the limbs of his opponents, and they were literally walking out of the ring in pieces. He was a one-man wrecking crew who basically made it his business to rearrange the limbs of anyone brave enough to step into the ring with him. Seriously, the guy broke people. That's what you get when you throw in elbows that hurt and knees that hit like a truck. His style? Aggressive, precise, and downright scary. You don't just come across someone like that every day. I mean, let's talk about those elbows for a second. These were tools of destruction. Buakaw's elbows would slice through defenses like a hot knife through butter, and down goes the opponent. And his knees, they were a whole other level of brutality. They came at you with such force that even the referee had to think twice about getting too close. The guy had this knack for making a fight end in a blink. Now, Buakaw was the guy who put Muay Thai on the global map. Before he came along, Muay Thai was that cool sport people had heard of, but didn't really understand outside of Thailand. But then, Buakaw came in, shattered a few bones, knocked out a few souls, and suddenly, the whole world sat up and took notice. People who couldn't even spell Muay Thai were now glued to their screens, watching this force of nature do what he did best: break people. Born Sombat Banchamek in a tiny town called Surin, Thailand. This guy was in the ring at the age of 8. 8. I mean, while other kids were out playing, Buakaw was already smashing faces and making a name for himself. And this wasn't just some after-school activity for him. It was life. Growing up in a place where Muay Thai was practically a religion, by the time he was old enough to legally drink, he had already snagged his first major title, Omnoy Stadium Featherweight Champ. Not too shabby for a guy who was still figuring out which elbow was his favorite weapon. But this was just the beginning. You want some legendary matches? How about his 2004 K1 World Max final showdown against Masato? That fight was everything. Buakaw left no doubt that he was the real deal. Masato was no slouch either, but Buakaw, he was on another level that night. That victory opened doors for him on the international stage, turning him into the global Muay Thai ambassador we all know today. Suddenly, Muay Thai was the hottest thing since sliced bread, and Buakaw was the sport's poster boy. And just when people thought he couldn't top himself, he goes and wins the K1 title again in 2006, taking down Andy Sauer by TKO like it was just another day in the office. Honestly, I can't even imagine how many jaws dropped during that fight. This was actually about cementing his legacy as a fighter who could take down anyone, anywhere, at any time. People weren't just fans anymore, they were believers. But let's not just stop there because Buakaw didn't. His reign wasn't limited to the K1 World Max events. Oh no, he kept piling on those wins like it was nobody's business. He snagged the Thai Fight Tournament titles in both 2011 and 2012. By this point, Buakaw was just adding titles to his collection like someone hoarding trophies. Thai Fight? Won it. Lumpini Stadium Toyota Marathon? Won that too. The man was unstoppable, and every new title was just another way of proving that he wasn't going anywhere. The guy was like a walking, talking Muay Thai machine. It was his adaptability, his ability to fight through any challenge and come out on top. Let's talk numbers for a second because, trust me, these are the kind of stats that will make you do a double take. Buakaw fought nearly 300 times and walked away with 243 wins. That's legendary. And here's the standout moment. 74 of those wins were by knockout. So yeah, when I say the guy could break people, I mean it. His stats are proof of his greatness. Every time he stepped into that ring, it was like watching a masterclass in Muay Thai. You knew you were about to witness something brutal, something legendary. And it's not just about the titles or the broken bones. Buakaw inspired a whole generation of fighters. He showed the world that Muay Thai was an art. His aggressive style, combined with his technical brilliance, set a new standard. Fighters around the world started training differently, watching Buakaw's fights like they were studying for an exam. But man, if we're talking about career-defining moments, we have to go back to 2002, when Buakaw took the Lumpini Stadium Toyota Marathon by storm. This was one of the most prestigious events in Muay Thai, and of course, Buakaw came out on top. He went up against some of the toughest fighters, including Satoshi Kobayashi. And, well, let's just say things didn't end well for them. Buakaw's victory in that tournament was a display of his endurance and mental toughness. I mean, the guy could fight for hours and still look like he just walked out of the locker room. Now, Buakaw's style, wow. In the beginning, it was all about those power strikes. Elbows, knees, the whole brutal package. But as time went on, he refined his approach. It was like watching an artist at work. He mixed traditional Muay Thai techniques with more modern strategies, always adapting to whoever stood across from him in the ring. And you want to talk about fear? Buakaw's ability to break limbs with his strikes was the stuff of nightmares for his opponents. It was his precision, his technique. He knew exactly where to hit and how hard to swing. The result? Fights ending with broken bones and shattered dreams. His legacy isn't just in the titles or the wins, or even the broken limbs. Though, let's be real, those were pretty iconic. It's in the way he revolutionized Muay Thai, taking it from a niche combat sport to a global sensation. The man set the bar for what it means to be a champion, and no one's going to be forgetting his name anytime soon. Let's talk about his fans, because Buakaw won hearts all over the world. His global appeal is undeniable. Buakaw has a fan base that stretches across continents. The fact that his name is still buzzing in conversations today, that says everything. And his influence on other fighters? Massive. Buakaw's approach to Muay Thai, blending traditional techniques with modern, aggressive strategies, started a movement. Fighters across the globe began to adopt his style, incorporating those precise, devastating strikes into their own arsenal. Even today, years after his prime, Buakaw's name still holds weight. He didn't fade into the background like so many other fighters. No, Buakaw is still very much involved in Muay Thai, whether through training new fighters, promoting the sport, or just making appearances. His career may be behind him, but his influence is far from over. People still talk about his legendary fights, and every time they do, it's a reminder of just how much he gave to the sport. As we look back at Buakaw's career, there's no question that he's left an indelible mark on Muay Thai. From his historic K1 World Max victories to his dominating performances in the Thai fight tournaments, Buakaw has proven himself time and time again. His ability to blend raw physical talent with innovative techniques set him apart from the rest. And that's something that won't be forgotten anytime soon. Years Years later, even with new fighters entering the scene, Buakaw's legacy remains untouchable. Sure, you can win titles, you can knock people out, but can you break your opponent's limbs and become a global icon while doing it? That's Buakaw Banchamek for you. A man who not only dominated his sport, but left an indelible mark that will be remembered for generations.